Hello and welcome back to Sports Vehicle Performance, and we're going to be back with our 987 Porsche Cayman project, and today we're going to be talking aftermarket radios. So talking about aftermarket radios, we've gone ahead and chosen this Pioneer system. Now you can go ahead and pick this off online for about £400. It's a good mid-range system and the one that we thought is best for this car. Now there's a lot of choices out there and there's a lot of debate, so I'm going to go into some of those options now. So the first system on our list is the Porsche OEM product. Now this is a system which is very good and will definitely help you keep value in your car. Now the reason this isn't viable to us is because of the price, and that's it costing about £1,500, and that's without it fitted. Now, again, this is probably a great product and something great and viable for a lot of people, but as I've already said, it just isn't viable for us. Now, there is of course the cheaper end of the product scale, which is going online and finding some cheap products from websites that I'm not going to name. Now these just look tacky and just are systems which probably won't hold up for very long, and to us, again, we don't want this car to look too cheap, even though it is already cheap enough. So something that we're going to miss, and I recommend you do the same and just go for the middle of the range like us, and I think this product will definitely serve its purpose and also last just as long as we need it to. Now, before I get started, one thing I'm going to mention is to keep your old system, especially if you're not going for the Porsche OEM spec of having the screen in your car. Now, the reason I say this is because if you do want to keep the value in the car, the best way to do this is to keep the old system and refit it when it comes to selling your vehicle. Now, of course, you can go ahead and ask the new buyer if they do want your new system, but I'll definitely keep the old one just in case, as I said, you just want to keep the value in the car and it's the best way to do that. So yeah, but you always have the option to sell it off online and stuff like this. So always keep that in mind when you're refitting one of these systems. Don't throw it away, as you might regret it in the future. So starting off, we have to remove a cover here. Now this little bolt is a T30 bolt, slightly hidden, but very accessible and easy to remove. This out of our way, as you can see I've got the panel in my hand, we move on to these two T20 torque screws here, which allows us to remove the side panel of the radio. So I go ahead and use a plastic tool to remove the top section of the trim, which will allow me to pull it away, and I go ahead and do the exact same the other side. Well, now we have access to the side of the radio, we can go ahead and pull these tabs here. And what these do is these help turn this little tab here, so that way we can slide our radio out. Now, what you use is a 5mm Allen key, and if you turn it about 90 degrees anti-clockwise, it's definitely one of the easiest to get into. It can be a bit fiddly. Also, one important thing to keep in mind is that they are only plastic and very fragile. But hopefully, if you've done it right, you should get a slight bit of movement from the radio. So now we're going to do the other side. Last but not least, we've got to remove this 7mm screw here. So I go ahead and use my 7mm spanner. It can take a bit of time, especially with how much space you've got. But once this is done, you can see it's pretty much all the way out. And now it means we can go ahead and remove the radio. Well, with it out, we now move on to the wiring. This could be a bit difficult, but I just use my screwdriver and a few other different techniques, and hopefully you should be able to get them all out without damaging any of the wires. So we've just got on the old unit of the car, as you would have seen. A bit of fun, but to be honest, as long as you're careful with these little Allen bits here, you should be all right. Just make sure to be really careful with them, not to break them. You know, that's the last thing you want. It will just make this job 10 times harder, and also when it comes to refitting in the future maybe. So yeah, just look out for that. But now we're on to the good bit, which is unboxing these bits. So what I'm going to do is open these up and show you what we've got. So we've got a few little cables in here, bits like this, you know, aerial signals, and we've also gotten the cover for the radio itself. So this will basically replace the unit and make it look as standard as possible, I guess. We've got the first thing that we're going to be fitting. This is actually the aerial. I'm not sure if you can see that in the bag at the minute, but yeah, the reason we'll be fitting this first is because we'll have to route this all the way up and into the car. So I'll show you how to do that the way I'm doing it anyway. And I'm also going to quickly unbox the main unit, and again, take a look inside. We've got a lot of cables and bits like that we have to figure out. Hopefully we could just follow the instructions and it should be quite a simple installation process. Usually is with these units. As long as you follow the instructions, you should be good, but I'll try and show you how I'm doing it, bits like that, maybe in case you're doing it yourself. But I'll take the unit out here. Make sure to take care of it. Let's drop it. That's the last thing you want. Rip off the foam pieces, and here we go. So, there we have it there. So you can see the reflection of it off the screen. That's always good. But yeah, I'd say this is definitely going to look a lot better in the car and just be a lot more usable as well, which is the whole reason we're getting it. You know, a lot of people get these for the Apple CarPlay, you know, the Android version as well, and bits like that. So definitely a well-needed upgrade, I think. So yeah, can't wait to get this in, and hopefully should massively improve the car. So yeah, as I said, I'm going to get on with installing the aerial and show you how to do it. Let's have a look. To install our new aerial, we need to go ahead and remove this trim piece. I use my plastic trim tools to do this, just to prevent any damage. I also remove this piece off the side of the dashboard to feed our wiring. As you can see here, a bit of a fiddle, but it's not too bad to do, especially once it's in. Just make sure it's fed through and nice and neat. And you can see it here. With this done, I'm now to the hard part, which is feeding it in underneath the driver's side. So it's a bit of a fiddle. Again, you can see the wire just here. But just be careful, take your time if you're doing this, and make sure it's fed through nicely. And next up, we have to go ahead and install the top bit of the aerial, which sticks on the glass by removing the sticky bit on the back. After this, I get some sandpaper and just take off a little bit of paint around this area so I can stick on the earth point or the aerial point just here off our aerial. There we go, it's all done. Make sure it's all stuck down nice and secure, and go ahead and refit our plastic trim piece. Next up is to install the USB cable that we plug our phones into. So I route this through the side of the radio, as you can see it here. And I feed this into my glove box, as this is where I'm most likely going to have my phone. And this plugs straight into the back, as you can see here. Well, the last thing to do before we install the actual radio was to install the adapters. So this is the first one that goes into the Porsche harness, and this adapts it to the one that then goes into the back of our radio. With this done, it was just a case of installing the mounting points and slotting the radio into place. As you can see here, a bit of a fiddle, but we got it done in the end. We've just finished doing the radio installation. As you can see, it's looking pretty nice. Yeah, but as I was going to say, I'm sorry I haven't really shown you a lot of the installation process. It's not the easiest with the camera angles and stuff like that. But to be honest, if you just follow the instructions, as long as you're buying this kit, it comes with literally everything you need, which is why I'm actually very happy I went with this kind of kit. At the price it was, it just came with everything, and it just makes it a whole lot simpler when it comes to installing it, unlike going cheaper, in which you might have problems with cables and you're having to order your own stuff. And you know, this has been very simple to install, so yeah, which is always good. It's just routing stuff that you have to decide how you want to do it yourself. For example, I put the mic up here, just on this little bit here. I fed it through the same bit that we routed the aerial, which just take this little panel off and this one up here, and you get bit of access down here. Some people, I think, you can route it all the way up through here. You could hang it on your sun visor, and you know, bits like that. There's a few little ways of feeding cables through, but it's completely up to you. You know, that's just one thing I will mention. Also, the wiring, I'd make sure to cable tie if you can, if you've got any cable ties. That's one thing I'd do. But if you don't have any cable ties, you may have noticed that they come with some of these little plastic bits, if the camera focuses. Yeah, I'd use these instead, because basically when you're pushing it back, you may notice it becomes very difficult, or even maybe not even go back all the way. That's because the wiring's all so messy, it's getting trapped in corners and bits like that. So at least if it's smooth, you're pretty sure that it won't cause any hassle. I also fed my USB through the glove box, so I went all the way around. You can see it here. Some people might not like that, but it's kind of like the best way I can find of doing it. So I routed it through. There's a little hole down here somewhere if I can find it, but yeah, there's a little hole down there. You just feed it through the side. I fed it up into my glove box, so I can put my phone in there when I'm driving. So yeah, I definitely say it's a big improvement, and something that's gonna definitely improved the car a lot. So I'm happy with it. Well, very happy with it, to be honest. It's definitely not as hard as I thought to install it. But now we're going to move on to reinstalling the side panels and get them on, and then basically box up the system. And yeah, should be it. So I'll get on with that now. First thing to do is to install the side pieces. And once these are in, make sure they're all pushed in nice and firm and you hear the click of them going in at the top. Once it's done, just a case of installing the two T20 screws, and last but not least, the last T30 screw in the final trim piece of your radio. And all you have to do is do this both sides and your radio is now installed. Well, there we go. I've just boxed everything up, as you would have seen, and as you can see, the radio is all on, all working. So I did have my phone plugged in, and again, before you install it, I'd make sure to check with your phone. So before you put anything or even slide the radio in itself, just plug your phone in or something like that and flick the ignition on, and you'll know straight away if it's working. So yeah, definitely a positive. It's all working up, looks very nice, I'd say, even with the little panel that you can see there. Like, the colour match is pretty good. So again, thought we'd try something different in this car. A lot of people would probably go for the cheaper option or even the more expensive option, but I wouldn't recommend that. I'd say this is a perfect little middle ground. If you're looking at doing something like this, you know, I'd say why not, to be honest. It's perfect, it does the job, and you get Apple CarPlay and the Android equivalent. So yeah, definitely recommend it. But anyway, really hope you've enjoyed this video. Just a small little project update on the Cayman project. Said it twice now, but yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed a little video like this. But yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. If you've got any questions about stuff like this, always interested to hear your guys' thoughts on these videos. So yeah, but anyway, that is it, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.